Okay, welcome to this podcast. This is a special podcast with two amazing artists, local artists, Mike Long, Si Griffiths. If you want to introduce yourselves and say to the people what you do, who you are, what the crack is, what we're planning for the 21st, if that ever happens. Well, the 21st will happen, presumably. The day will come along, we'll acknowledge it, but will we be out there doing our thing? This is the question. But we don't care because we're going to do it online. So, gentlemen, over to you. I'm not going to talk for the next 33 seconds.
Yeah, Mike Long, Si Griffiths. We ran a show in Yale Hall nearly 2 years ago now. Yeah. And we were going to do it the following year, which was last year. And since then, everything's been shut down. Nobody's had any access to art. Nobody's had any access to social interaction. And come hell or high water, June the 21st, the show is going to open in the Yale Hall in Chippenham, and we just want everybody to come, everybody to enjoy it. Si or I will be invigilating. You can talk to us about your art, you can talk to us about your art. Yeah. There will be 6 other really, really, really good local artists. And we urge you to come meet us. It'll be free to come in.
Perfect.
It'll cost you nothing. You can come and have a look at some terrific art. And 21st of June, we'll see you there.
Right. So
it's just to make the point, it's not portraits and landscapes. Not there's anything wrong with portraits and landscapes. It's art that's a little bit different. Just so people can see, that art is a broad spectrum.
Yeah. So in this show that we're doing now, we will put a selection, won't we, Rebecca, of the very sort of art you're talking about. Not the landscapes and stuff. Some of your stuff in this one. Remembering that on the 21st, but we'll know, won't we, soon enough. We will have done a little bios of each artist, and maybe you can name them, and we'll put a list of who they're going to be on this little show of the other artists. But we'll go off and we'll meet up, film, do interviews with each artist and the work that they were going to show at this exhibition. And I love the idea that come hell or high water, but here's the crack. Presumably, if Boris has got this wrong, I mean, what's the chances of that?
That won't happen. He never gets anything wrong.
In double thought crime land, yeah, of course he doesn't. And I don't want the thought police to start hassling me, because it's not like I'm against that sort of stuff, right? I like what Boris is doing in lots of ways, because he's made an art of it, isn't he? In a way, you can admire someone, I'm not advocating that you should behave in the way that he's doing, of course not, because hundreds of thousands of people have died unnecessarily. But the fact that he keeps getting away with it, there's a bit of me that, you gentlemen, what are you thinking? You're thinking, oh.
No comment.
I can honestly say, as an artist, we all wake up in the morning and we think, I got away with that.
Yeah.
I honestly think we all, it doesn't matter whether you write, whether you paint, if you're a musician, I'm sure Jagger and Richards get up in the morning and think, oh, we got away with another one.
Yeah.
People actually bought that rubbish.
Yeah.
And we all, Si will tell you, Si's got shows going on in the States at the moment.
Yeah.
And people are buying his art. And Si will have terrible, terrible moments of self-doubt, as I do,
as we all
as
do.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
tell me about it.
And particularly, there comes a moment when you're producing something, doesn't matter what it is, and you get halfway through, and you think to yourself, why in God's green earth am I doing this? This is just ridiculous. But for some reason, there's an element of stubbornness that won't let you give up.
Yeah.
And you plod through to the end, and every now and again you produce something and you think, that was really worthwhile.
Yeah.
That's something really worthwhile.
Yeah.
99% of it is garbage. It can go in the skip. But every now and again, the numbers game says that sooner or later, something would be worthwhile.
It's like the infinite amount. What's that? Monkeys, is it?
Monkeys,
Yeah. With an infinite amount of typewriters, will eventually write all the great classics. Was that? Was it Bob Free? Who was it? Bob Newman? Bob Newhart.
Shakespeare.
Yeah. They
Shakespeare,
write all the
Shakespeare
great.
said, if I give you enough monkeys a typewriter,
Yeah.
sooner or later they will all have written Hamlet.
Shakespeare said
Shakespeare said that.
about
yeah.
typewriters, did he?
Yeah.
Right long and.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's
It's
you
true.
know, I think for every creative person, that's part of the process. You know, but that self-doubt. I wouldn't agree with 99% of it being shit.
You haven't seen my
I'm not allowed
work.
to say shit. You asked for who's at this show.
Yeah.
Clifton Powell, who's well, they're all amazing artists. The furthest, it's local artists. Furthest away is Bristol, so it's
Still our
it's
localities, are we?
reasonably
Yeah.
Local.
I get that. That's cool.
Daniel Carmichael, who's an amazing photographer from Bath. Emma Sally, again a local artist. Helen Osborne Swan, Jimmy Wilmot, who's the guy from Bristol. Mike, a guy called Montague Top, who's local, and my good self. Please do come along. Getting back to the, whether it will happen, I think, because Monday we're filming this on today, Saturday. Which is the 15th.
That's right, yeah. 15th
Monday,
today.
where things are opening up a bit more.
Yeah.
So, even if the whole world, the whole country doesn't open up on the 21st of June, hopefully we will be able to have have our doors open and some flow
Socially
of
distant
people
flow,
through.
yeah.
Maybe it's social, maybe it will be limited numbers or something.
Yeah.
So hopefully we won't have to cancel it
Yeah.
or put it back.
Or put it
won't
online.
be cancelled because we are determined
Yeah.
to keep this going.
Perfect.
18 months, 2 years ago, when we did the original one of these, where there was just 3 artists, it was the town really. We got a good reaction from the town. The Yeld is administered by the museum. They were really happy we did it. So it was a good feeling all around. The people that came liked it. Even if they didn't like the art, they liked the fact that it was something happening, something else happening in the town that was creatively based.
And it's a perfect analogy. What you were saying also, Mike, about the process of creating art. Sometimes I think people, when they see the end piece, or the whether it's a painting or a song or a composition, whatever it is, for photograph, when you see it, you think, oh, maybe I should say, people think that the artists that have created this have really of stable mind and happy and well adjusted and able, and it's like they do this, they turn it out like some sort of machine. That there is such a massive emotional roller coaster to even get to the stage where you produce anything. And I think it's quite timely. We're talking about it whenever this goes out. We know that it was filmed on the Saturday of the end of the Mental Health Awareness Week. Well, we at Can Do are aware of the mental health problem every day of the week. So nothing we're going to do is going to change. It's great that other organisations like Emery Gate are supporting us to make that more of a thing, but it's going to be a tidal wave. So promoting the art, having access, because I totally agree with you, people having access, whether it's in the Yield or anywhere else, to art, to stimulate them, just to sort of show maybe an indication that people are making sense of their existence in different ways, and they're sharing it, and it's the sharing. I love the fact that you guys have gone to the trouble of doing this, because each individual artist, you're successful in your own rights, fantastic. Coming together, collaborating, and we're also going to have music, are we not, if we can?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And a lot of this art has been produced over the last year.
Perfect.
Where being an artist is quite a solitary existence anyway, because it's you and the easel, the canvas. But a lot of this art has come out of what everybody's been going through this last year. I mean, a lot of my work comes from, pretty much all of my work comes from my emotions.
Yeah.
That's where I find the inspiration. How am I feeling?
Yeah.
How does that come out?
Yeah.
And a lot of this art has been produced, this art has been produced by 8 people that have been sat in this new reality that nobody likes.
Yeah.
So, you know, how do we express that on canvas?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit boring, isn't it? Interesting.
No, it doesn't.
It will hopefully make people think interesting in that way.
One of the things that really hit me, the last one we did, which I say is 18 months ago now, I was sitting there invigilating at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or 10 to 4, whatever it was, and some young lads came up on the way home from college, and they stuck their head in the door, and they had a look around and said, "This is interesting." And I said, "Well, come in and have a look." And they said, "Well, is it free?" And I said, "Yeah, just come on in." And that was so important, that young people could get access to something, didn't have to pay for it, weren't being moaned at for being millennials or whatever the current Generation X or whatever that expression is.
Dissing the young. Bless them.
And that they could come in, have a look at it, discuss it. If they wanted to say it was crap, then that's fine, you know, as long as you have an opinion about it. The worst thing for any artist, whatever you do, is for somebody not to have any opinion about what you've done. That's horrible. If somebody says, "I don't rate what you've done," that's fine. Then I can say to them, "Why don't you rate it?" And they say, "Well, I don't understand it." Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm doing is trying to tell a story. Everything I do, and I don't want to be didactic about it. I don't want to say, "This is what you've got to think about it." What I want to say is, here's an image. Roll it around in your head and see what you make of it.
Yeah.
And an awful lot of people will come up with a completely different idea of what I had when I started to produce it.
Yeah.
The odd thing about that, of course, is when we sit down to do something, we often don't have a clear idea of what's going to happen at the end of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably like writing a novel. When you start writing a novel, you very often don't have an idea of what the last chapter is going to be, how it's going to end. Some people may do, some people may plan it out from beginning to end. But for me to start, I just sit down with a blank sheet and start painting.
Yeah.
And I might have I've usually got a phrase in my head.
What is that phrase?
But what's going to happen from that phrase?
Is my sentences are like that. I have no idea what I'm going to say. I started that with no idea what I was going to end it with. But through this pandemic, would you say, because you said that there's a lot of this art's been produced, has been the thing that psychologically helped you get through?
Oh, for sure. I thought when, just over a year ago, what are we now, May, over a year ago, there was, artists were all laughing, saying, lockdown, that's not a problem, because, what we do is very, very solitary, as I said earlier on. And, I'm at the easel, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day, that's not going to be a problem. But actually it was, because when I'm not constrained by lockdown, I can get up, I can walk into town, I can have a cup of coffee, I can go around someone's house and see somebody if I need a break. But when I was in lockdown, I didn't have the freedom to do that. So suddenly, my solitary existence became almost a double experience, if you know. So you've got the layer of it being forced on you on top of my own choice to do something creative in a solitary environment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
you're compelled to be solitary.
Yes, big difference, isn't it? Absolutely, big difference between when you it's almost golden, isn't it? To find the time and space to be able to create, to have the opportunity. But when there's so many other psychological constraints and unknowns, and ourselves, we kind of, because we work with vulnerable people, we were not ever really locked down, particularly because we had to work with vulnerable people, so we're out, aren't we? But the whole world's different. There isn't anyone else out. We were walking around, the parks. It was like, one of those movies, 24 hours later, or 24 days later, whatever it's called, when there's some sort of apocalypse and you walk in, you see the odd person. And when I say odd person, they're probably thinking about me when they see me, but the odd now and again or whatever, complete different experience of social experience with the young people we're working with. So we didn't have the lockdown, that bit, but the rest of it was like the whole, what makes our community, other people, interactions, whether it's the social interactions of walking up and down the street, let alone sitting in a cafe or talking to people in a public or shared public space. So it was affecting us probably in the opposite way it was affecting people that felt that they were imprisoned, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know if it makes any sense, but it was like kind of, all right, we're out of here, but it's like, you know, when you're a kid and you go knock on your mates' doors, it may be just me and I didn't really have any mates, but you knock on doors and if your mates couldn't come out to play for whatever reason, you're just twiddling your thumbs on your own, it's like, great, what's the point of having that freedom? You know, you go out, you want to play with someone. And I guess that's it, isn't it? Musicians, the same thing, collaboration, bouncing ideas off of each other.
I was talking to a musician friend of mine yesterday, and he was saying that during lockdown, because we were talking about, you know, things are starting to really open up now, and basically the difficulties, certainly I've found, and talking to people, a lot of other people have found, is just social interaction again. It's like, whoa, I'm not used to this, I haven't really done this properly for over a year. And he was saying that he's done some stuff like via Zoom where they've like been rehearsing and done some numbers with his band. But he was saying it's not the same. When you're in the room and you know, you're playing a musical instrument and you're bouncing off each other and, you know, in the groove, as they like to say, it's completely different. So I think getting back to sort of this show and for myself as an artist especially, you know, this last year has been quite a good catalyst for my work, you know, and I have to look at it like that because in effect we've all lost a year of our lives, haven't we?
Yeah.
But for me, you know, I try and look on the positive side of things. You know, I produce some art that I'm really happy with in this period from what's been happening in this period.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think as a human being and also an artist, I've got to look at it like that.
Yeah.
Because that just helps me process it.
Yeah.
I think even if it's unconscious, it has to be the case that nobody has gone through this pandemic unchanged by it.
Oh yeah.
And whether your writing or your music or your art is consciously changed by it, subconsciously it cannot not be changed by it because of the entirely changed circumstances in which we all exist.
Yes. Yeah. And I think,
and if you are a person who suffers from mental health, that's an additional barrier that you've got to try and. I mean, life is hard enough.
Yes.
Life is hard enough.
Yeah.
Without putting another fence in front of somebody who is struggling to jump the fences that they've got in front of them now.
Yes.
Without being given another one that they've got, another barrier that they've got to.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said it often. If people had mental health issues before this pandemic, they've been exacerbated. And if they didn't really think they did before, I bet they do now. I bet they understand a little bit more about, you know, and that's not a competition, is it? That's why this whole week in Every Gate's been amazing, because we've had all these art workshops and music simultaneously. They simply go hand in hand, don't they? Hence why we want to sort
If something positive comes out of this, it will be this space.
Yeah, hopefully.
In fact, I mean, we both said it the other day, we should have this in Chippenham all the bloody time.
Yeah.
Where people can drop in, talk to like-minded idiots about crap, and
it's true though, isn't it?
And not feel completely stupid or pretentious.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of artists will feel that they can't say what they want to say because they look arty. You know, And being arty is not.
Well, you need it. We need all tools, don't we? Gives us that sort of the shades in our life. So having other people's perspectives is really important.
Absolutely.
Listening and absorbing and actually understanding, or trying at least to understand, is really important. Something local government and national government should think about doing, because it's like, on what agenda are you trying to run our society? Look at the local PCC thing. What a joke.
When times are financially difficult,
they're made so by capitalists. Yeah.
Art is an easy target.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
You can't
that
cut
and
nurses,
young people.
You can't cut nurses' salaries, although they do.
They did.
You can't cut the police force.
Well,
they can.
Yeah.
You can't
Good
destroy
Lord.
the education system.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But what you can do, you can take away from art.
Yeah.
Because art is useless.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a waste of public money.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah. Hence, but bizarrely, when they want to sell ideology, the first people they call upon are artists, from organised religion to all the propaganda and politics, just selling crap. Artists, musicians, actors selling themselves like cheap hooers, so that people can buy a different brand of car and stuff. Now, I get that. I just don't. It hasn't gotten us anywhere. Not as artists or as members of the community, to have a society that overconsumption is actually destroying the human being's existence. Not the world. The earth will go on without us, won't it? We'll just be the parasites that have actually killed ourselves. There won't be a meteorite that kills us. It won't be nuclear war. Well, it might be a little bit, but it will be just this mad addiction to overconsumption, and it's frightening. But if it's art that gets us, of course, but if it's art that sells us that ideology in the masses, not trying to separate myself from the masses, I just think that somehow, somewhere, from good mentorship and good fortune, I've fallen through the net of the conformist that goes, organised religion? Look at the cases of sexual abuse. How could you possibly advocate going to a church? How could you possibly, as a council, be linked and allow there to be some sort of ceremony? It's like, what are we doing as a society? And I don't even want to go into Prince Andrew hiding in one of our palaces. That is another story for another podcast, potentially from my prison cell. However, if I've still got a head, I will mysteriously die. But anyway, or my reputation will. But here's the bit. With this ongoing, so making the best of the situation, if people want to do art workshops and all that, obviously they've been doing them here, and I want to, of course, if there was an artist, there's another artist next week, if there's an artist a week that just wanted to sit around and sit around, as if artists ever sit around, but do workshops, as long as we've got this place, this is what we want. Because you said it earlier on, the idea of just nipping your head as a young person in a building that you've probably never been in before, maybe you have, you look, oh, this is interesting. People like yourselves have to go to the trouble to do it, don't you? Book the place, collaborate, get together to make it interesting. And if we're not doing that, if we're not laying out mile markers for our young as a society, then what are we doing? Where? Because our young people, I mean, Christ, don't get me started on the Bridge Centre and all those other things. What is it we're doing to our young? We said about the nurses. Well, the start of this pandemic, all the care homes. I mean, what sort of tactic is it when you know that transmission is done by contact? Oh well, you surely have to block all the points of contact. The barriers, maybe the borders, maybe the airplanes coming in and out of the country, the ports, all those places. It beggars belief. It beggars belief. Will you, do you think, be able to or want to collaborate doing more public art? Now, exhibiting is a brilliant thing, but the actual process where people can see you doing, would you come and do workshops here, for instance?
At the show, we get a close-up at this at some point.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's called the Breakout Show.
Yeah.
And it is Monday the 21st of June to Saturday the 3rd of July, 10 till 4 daily, closed Sunday. When I'm invigilating, Mike said we're both being vigilating.
Yeah.
I will be painting there. So
Perfect.
I'll be a work chap as such.
No,
I'll be
yeah.
sitting there painting so people can see
the
process.
That'll do for me.
I'm happy
Yeah.
to come here and
Cool.
and do it at some
Perfect.
point.
Yeah,
Not today,
no,
but
absolutely. Listen, that you will. That you will is
Yeah,
fantastic. That you're doing that on the 21st is perfect.
Just to show people, that maybe don't have any idea of what we do and how we do
How
it.
we do it, exactly.
So yeah, and it's a good, it's a good use of my time because it's not always busy in an art show. You tend to get waves.
Yeah.
So, but it's easy to put the brushes down and then talk to people about the art. So it's a win-win situation.
Totally.
So.
Absolutely. So what about, add another layer, what about a few songs from the Blues Brothers?
The Chippenham Blues.
The Chippenham Blues Brothers, ladies and gentlemen. Hey?
I'd love to, Ed, but I can't hold a tune in a bucket. When I was young,
I'd listen to the radio.
Long time ago, I was going to be a fighter pilot,
Wow.
a Formula One Grand Prix racer, and I was going to be lead guitarist to a really big pop group.
Really fast guitar. Everything's fast about you. Mickey Fastman.
And I never did any of them. So I feel I've lost my calling in life.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Maybe you've got your calling in life. Maybe that's it. How comfortable are you in it though? Are you happy? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You've done.
Yeah.
You're living the life, aren't you? You're literally living the life. You're doing what you're driven by your emotions. Imagine that. That's a beautiful thing. That you're going to share it. I love. I mean, obviously artists exhibit. Of course they exhibit. How do they sell it otherwise? But the actual process, that's like a little bit of alchemy you're sharing there, isn't it? It's quite an interesting. It can be a very private thing. So I'm quite impressed that you're going to do that. I like that. It's worked really well this week in this Emery Gate. It's been brilliant.
Everybody, whoever you are, whatever you do in life, at the end of your working day, you want a little bit of, that was all right.
Yeah.
I did okay today.
Yeah.
Everybody needs that. Whatever job you do. And if you're an artist, you need, at some stage, somebody to say, that's all right. That's all right, I understand that. It was decent. If you're making a film, if you're making a video, you want somebody at the end of the day to say, you did a good job on that. It looks nice. It made me think about something. If you're doing a talk about something, you want at the end of the day somebody to say, that was all right. Everybody can see what I do. It's all over the walls of my garage and the house at home. And everybody who walks past it says, that's all right, mate. Some say it's a load of rubbish. Mostly it is. But every now and again, somebody will say, that brightened up my day. And that's public art.
Yeah.
And I firmly, if you, Si said to me the other day, walk under the bridge in Chippenham and see all the graffiti on the walls under the bridge over the river. And it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And you can walk down there, and it doesn't matter how pissed off you are, you can walk down there and it will give you a lift.
Yeah, it's really colourful and very well executed. And yeah, I think it's great that they're building a skate park. Why didn't they put some graffiti walls up as well?
Well, it will.
And bring it
That will be the graffiti. That's where it'll be, won't it?
Well, I would hope so.
We think so. Well, they got a climbing wall that no one asked for, so they'll probably get a graffiti wall that they didn't. Especially if it's not free.
I asked for a graffiti wall.
Did you?
I physically said to them, can we have a graffiti
And what
wall?
did they say?
I never heard back.
Who's they?
Chippenham Borough Land. They're the ones who finance it.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started, boys, on Chippenham Borough Lands. No, do get me started. Don't worry. That'll be an ongoing story. Interesting. That whole sort of scenario. But that's interesting that you asked for it because you're totally right. That's an element that's never thought about. Public art, but access. We wanted to do it in John Coles Park on the 21st. We wanted to have, I don't know if you've ever seen, the wall that goes up, it sort of backs onto King Alfred Drive or whatever it's called. John Coles Park?
Yeah.
Vaguely, but
Right, so there's the little kids park, isn't there?
Yeah.
So if you look at the fence, it's all rusty, quite dangerous actually. So we wanted to cover it with, obviously health and safety, whatever, but pieces of art done with young people, but age group right the way up to the top of the park, so it kind of blocks out the horrible shoddy wall that you walk down. There's a lot of graffiti, not your beautiful graffiti, just tagging, which is in itself, you know, is something people want to have that recognition. So we wanted to have boards that, so you'd start off in the kids' playground and have maybe endangered species, maybe local species, but art, you know, murals, but on big boards that'd be safe, but block the horrible fence and also the tagging, and then have it by different generations right at the park. Boom. That's what we wanted to do, as well as thanking the police, the National Health Service, the nurses, the doctors, and everyone else that's helped and supported anyone people could nominate. So we want to do that on the bandstand and just say thank you, or give a big thank you by all the people of Chippenham and the local area to all the people, shop workers, sewage workers, refuge workers, all the people that have worked through the pandemic to get us through. But then to have these beautiful murals as part of an ongoing workshop, so that people became part of the public art. So you guys and all the other artists we know working alongside particular groups to say, right, what's your idea? And so you have different pieces of art going up, and then bands on the thing, and then different community groups, and a big thank you from the community. What do you think happened with that plan? Anyway, so back to what we are going to do on the 21st. So if we can, we'll be there. I love it. I mean, and again,
let's change that to we will.
Oh, we will.
Let's try and.
Yeah. No, definitely we will. We know we're doing it, and
I know what you mean if we can, but I'm really trying to be positive this morning about something's going to happen.
Listen, this is what I'm saying. We know you guys are producing the art. We can film it, if nothing else. On the 21st, we can put something out that people go, right, a fancy bit of art, this is what I would have seen in the Yield. If we can hang it in there and film it there, whatever. But whatever we do, we will do something. And that's part of what the underlying idea. It's about optimism. It's about coming together. This is why I couldn't really understand why the people at Chippenham Town Council, who are supposed to, A, work on our behalf, B, they don't get that the actual park is the people's park. And I think the new restart, unlock, reset scenario, they'll get it when they realise that people ain't going to put up with that nonsense, the wig wearing, hence the burning of the wig and stuff. It's like, get your priorities right. You can't be doing all the old things all the time that didn't work, whether it's on an environmental level or a social environment level. You can't not invest in the young people. You can't give them opportunities. If we have to rely on good people like yourselves to share your art and put it out publicly so young people get an idea that that's what you can do in life, then, well, I'm grateful that we've got you doing it, but don't you think it should be more accessible and part of more of a legislated aspect of our communities?
Yeah, everybody always wants more, and everybody is pushing their own agenda, and that's absolutely right. All we can do is push our agenda, and if our agenda coincides with can-do agenda, that's brilliant, and I think it does. I think because we all want the same thing in the end. We all want people to get involved in creative things which will improve their life, and it's baby steps.
Beautifully said.
It's baby steps. It's, you know, and if this will be our second step up. The second step
Perfect.
we pushed an elephant up, and if we can get it up the second step, that's fine.
Hey, let's leave it on that.
We need a big plug now.
Yeah,
close up of this.
Close up of that.
Watch this space.
Yeah, we're going to do it. Edit it in. We'll edit it. Don't worry about it now. We'll edit that in. You get hold of that, and you can do it now in a minute, yeah? Sorry, I'm speaking to you as if I know what I'm talking about. Gentlemen,
well wrapped up.
that is well wrapped up, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, yeah? It's a wrap.